and welcome back, and hello anyone that is new. My name is Ellis. I'm a mum of 2 boys. I share lots of content over here, from lifestyle content, cleaning, interiors, decluttering, hauls, beauty, travel and so much more. And today I'm sharing with you another travel video. It's another really exciting one if you love all things Disney, and this is the ride that we have chosen for our Disney fast passes. Now I was stressing out about this. Again, it requires so much research and I didn't realise how much effort went into making sure you get your rides and how many different things came into play when booking your Disney fast passes. So if you want to hear a little bit more about what I've booked for my 2 sons who are 5 and 2 for our trip to Disney, as well as a couple potentially for myself, and you want to see what I've booked, why I've booked them and lots more, then just continue to watch. Okay, so let's jump straight in. I didn't realise there were so many different rides. I didn't realise there were tiers when it comes to certain rides and certain parks. I just didn't know any of this. So I just thought I could go on, I could do them. No, that is not the case, is it? Now, we are quite lucky that we are going in mid-season, I'd say. I think it's just after or just before spring break in March. We're not going in high season in the summer, and we're also not going in low season. Now, there is loads of things you can do to try and plan out your days as well. So online, there are loads of calendars to tell you the days that they anticipate the parks being at their lowest and all things like that. I haven't really followed any of that. I've just kind of planned out our days. Once I'd done our meal reservations and I'd got on them for certain days, I then managed to kind of wangle in our rides around that, and I knew where we were going to be based. So I'm going to share with you what we've booked for each day, and these are mainly all focused around the boys. So I don't know if I mentioned this in this video, but the boys are 5 and 2, and I've taken their heights all before, so I knew exactly what rides I could book for both of them. This is more of a trip for Klayton in terms of the rides. I remember when we went Disney the first time 2.5 years ago in Paris, all he wanted was to meet the characters. So that may be what we end up doing with Parker. But for Klayton, it's mainly for the rides. But there are rides here that both of them can go on. So on the first day, I've actually booked 1 ride. Now, we don't get in until 3:30 in the afternoon. And by the time we've gotten our luggage, anticipate us getting back to the hotel and settling down, we're obviously going to want to nip out for some sort of meal. We'll probably use a snack credit or something like that. We're not booking any reservation for that day because we don't know our timings very well. But I figured if we could go anywhere, we could maybe go into Hollywood Studios. And I've actually booked 1 ride for that day, just because I figured that if the boys want to go in, we've got free fast passes to use. And if the boys want to go on a ride, then they can do so. So I booked them a good one. So on that first day in the evening, I booked them Toy Story Mania. Now, both of the boys are Toy Story obsessed, and this one is available for any height range, which means both the boys can go on it. Now, it's meant to be a spinning one, but it's not overly spinning, I'm hoping. I've watched a few videos online. Klayton hates things like teacups and stuff like that make him feel really, really sick, and he gets really scared, bless him. But you get to shoot things whilst you're in there, and all of the sort of things are brought to life. So I think the boys will really enjoy that ride. Now, this is another favourite of ours, and I've actually booked this again later in our trip, and I think the boys are going to really enjoy going on that. So I thought that would be a really good way that if they are wanting to go on a ride on that first evening, when we get there, they can go on that one. Now, the next day we're actually based in Hollywood Studios, which is where the Toy Story Mania one that I just spoke about is based. And the one thing that you should know about Hollywood Studios is they actually have tiers to their rides. So you can only go on like a tier 1 ride. You can only choose 1 of them for your fast passes, and the other 2 rides have to be a tier 2 ride. So what this actually meant is, out of all the rides, there is so much going on in Hollywood Studios, but for the boys, there was only a couple of rides really to choose from. So we've actually chosen to do the Toy Story Mania ride again on that day. I can't even guarantee we're going to use it the night before, so we're doing that one again. And that's our tier 1 ride, which basically meant that the other ride that I really want to book, I had to use and do on another day later in our trip. So to start our trip, we've booked the Toy Story Mania one, and then there wasn't really too much else for us to do in Hollywood Studios in terms of activities to pre-book. So both of the boys are obsessed with Frozen. The new Frozen 2 movies recently launched that we went and watched in the cinemas. And so when we went to Disneyland Paris a couple of years ago, we actually watched Frozen live, and both the boys loved it. They love singing along. So we've actually booked for the first time in forever, which is a Frozen sing-along celebration. Now, I anticipate it being exactly the same as what we did prior when we went to Paris before. However, I know the boys are going to love it. Parker was only a few months old when we went the first time with Klayton, so I know that he'll get to enjoy that a little bit more, and he really loves singing and dancing. So that is what we booked for our second fast pass for that day, and it just means that we'll be able to get in there without queuing. And the last thing that we booked for that day is called The Voyage of the Little Mermaid. Now, as far as I'm aware, it's just an animated musical film of The Little Mermaid, which again, the boys love singing, they love films, they love everything Disney encompass. And again, I feel like this will be a really like relaxed way to spend a couple of hours or an hour or so, or whatever it may be. I remember we went to quite a few of these when we were in Disneyland Paris. However, again, we were waiting in long queues, so to have a fast pass for this is great. If the weather isn't too good, the boys are looking tired or anything like that, we could pop in. And it's always a really good idea to use your free fast passes, because once you've used them, you can get another fast pass. So we could then look to get a fast pass to do another one of the tier 1 rides if we so choose. However, our plan basically is I've organised the majority of our rides for around 10, 11 and 12 o'clock. They do differ on some days. So on this day, we actually have the rides for 9:35 to 10:35. You've got like a whole hour to turn up. Then we've got 11 to 11:15 and 12:35 to 12:50. So we can fit lunch in just before or just after. And then the plan is basically to spend the rest of the afternoon doing whatever we want. So we may go to one of the water parks, we may go back to the pool, we may go to the spa, me and my mother-in-law, whilst the men can deal with the boys, and we may have a nap back at the hotel room if we think the boys are particularly tired, especially on that first day with a bit of jet lag, before we go out for dinner. So that gives us a lot of options. There's also the options to go off-site, to go to Target, or I don't even know where else is like on my list of shopping places. Again, this is something I'm happy to create content on if you want to see that. And if you didn't catch my earlier video, I also did a video previously, which I will link above for you, which is basically all of the dining reservations that we've made for our age range of children and what we feel is going to be the best way to use them on the deluxe Disney dining plan. So yeah, that's basically why we've done our fast passes like that, and it gives us the whole afternoon to either then stay in the park and do a little bit more, or go and do something else. So the next day we're back in the Magical Kingdom, and we do have a lot of days there. I think we have like 4 or 5 days inside the Magical Kingdom, just because it has the most rides that actually work for our sons. We're not traveling to Universal Studios or anything like that, because again, they're still quite young, and I think we can spend our time better in the actual Disney parks themselves. And so the first flight that we have on that day between 10:05 and 11:05 is Peter Pan's flight. Now again, any children of any height can go on this, which is really exciting. And you basically fly over London aboard a magical pirate ship of Peter Pan's, and you get to kind of experience things that are in the film. And again, I think the boys will find this quite magical. There is meant to be moments where it's quite dark, so I'm a bit iffy on how Parker's going to be, but I'm sure he'll be fine. He's a bit of a thrill seeker. He doesn't mind things like that too much. Then the next one that we have is Under the Sea. It's the Journey of the Little Mermaid, and I keep looking at my phone because obviously I can't remember the full names of these all completely. Now again, this is a slow ride. We've got it between 11:15 and 12:15, and the app is actually really good. So before you do anything, you can download the Disney or My Disney Experience app. You can add all of your family members in. So there's myself, my husband, my 2 children and my in-laws. We've added all of our rooms on, and we're now all like a big plan team type thing on there. So you can select all of your members and add them all in at the same time when you choose your fast passes. And so for this one, your guests can be any height again. You descend below the waves without ever getting wet for a whimsical musical adventure of wash scenes from the animated classic Little Mermaid. So again, I think that's going to be a really nice one for the boys, not too fast, and a really nice ride for them to enjoy. I know that when we went Disneyland Paris before, Klayton loved ones like Dumbo, the Carousel, It's a Small World. Again, he's not into those big thrill seeker rides right now. He's slowly getting there, but he's still not at that age range, and these are the perfect rides for them. And the next ride that we have that day is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Now I've heard this is meant to be amazing. It's got some small drops. It's meant to be a thrill ride for those younger children in the parks. Parker, unfortunately, at the moment is a little bit too small to go on this ride. He may grow. We still have 60 days, and I think he's something like 6 centimeters too short once he's got some shoes on as well. that will probably only make him about 2 centimeters too short to actually go on this ride. So hopefully he has a little bit of a growth spurt in the next couple of weeks and will grow a little bit so he can go on this ride as well if he wants to. But this is described as a race through the diamond mine from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on a swaying family coaster. And there's also Disney Photo Pass here. So we've got a magic memory maker, I think they're called, and we get photos taken around the park in certain places, and they all get preloaded to our wristband, I think it is on here, which all go to an app so you can download them. So that'll be really good to capture Klayton's face more than anything, maybe Parker's if he chooses to go on the ride as well. So this is day 3 now. Our first day was in Hollywood Studios, second day is in Magical Kingdom, and we're spending another day in Magical Kingdom. And our first ride of the day is a little bit earlier because we have a lunch reservation. So I've actually moved them forward. So we're gonna get up a little bit earlier. We don't have any breakfast reservations this morning, and it's for Pirates of the Caribbean. Now again, you can be any height. Our reservation is between 9:15 and 10:15, and it sets out on a swashbuckling voyage to a long forgotten time and place when pirates and privateers ruled the seas. Again, the boys love things like that, pirates and all things like that, so I know they're gonna love this ride, and I think it'd be a really fun one for us all to go on. I'm pretty sure I went on one pretty similar to this, if not exactly the same, in Disneyland Paris, and I remember the boys really enjoying it, and then they came out, and I remember, I'm pretty sure my sister-in-law bought the boys swords and eye patches and all sorts, so yeah. Next up, we then have the Winnie the Pooh ride, which is called The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Again, it's a slow ride. Children of any height can go on it, so it's perfect for the boys. And you travel through the 100-acre wood in an oversized honeypot and immerse yourself in the stories of Winnie the Pooh. Now, obviously, if you're not traveling anytime soon, I'm going to be vlogging all of this. Fingers crossed if it all pans out well. I'm going to be trying to vlog all of this so you'll get an insight. But I did so much of my research on the rides based upon what I could find online, and when you're inside these rides, they all just seem so magical. They come to life, and remember, for young children, they are amazing. So I would definitely recommend you taking a look on YouTube content as well to get an idea of what they're like. Then the last reservation we have for that day is Dumbo, the Flying Elephant. Again, you're just going around on Dumbo. I'm praying it doesn't make Klayton too sick. I don't think it goes too fast, but I'm going to assess it when we go out there. Dumbo can have quite long queues, and I don't really want to wait in any queues and want to try and get the majority of the rides covered if I can. So again, children of any height can go on this. The park can go on it too. And it says you soar high in the sky on a whimsical flight over the Storybook Circus aboard Dumbo, the Flying Elephant. I mean, it's a pretty standard ride, to be honest with you. However, again, the reason why I've made sure that I've used all 3 fast passes is because once that one is done, if there are any other rides we want to go on that evening, that day, whatever it may be, we can go back to them. Whilst I'm on the topics of rides, actually, there are a couple in Magical Kingdom that I know that we 100% want to do, but I don't feel like they have very long queue times, so I haven't booked them for a fast pass. So the first one is a carousel. The boys love going around on the carousel, so I know they want to go on that. And the second one is It's a Small World. Now, I remember in Disney this having quite long queues, but as far as I'm aware, in Walt Disney, the queues aren't as long, probably because there's so many other rides to go on. But yeah, I'm hoping that the boys will love going on that, but we'll probably queue for that or try and get a fast pass if we have an additional one added on. So the next day we are in Animal Kingdom, and the first ride that we have is a ride called Dinosaur. Both the boys are obsessed with Dinosaur, although I don't think Parker's going to be able to go on it. Again, if he grows a couple of centimetres, he might just make it. He's just a little bit too short at the moment. This is a thrill ride with small drops. It can be dark and scary, which is one of the reasons why obviously you might not put Parker on a ride like this. It says take off on a scary prehistoric tour aboard a rip-roaring time rover to save a dinosaur from extinction. And I picked this with Klayton in mind more than anything because he loves dinosaurs and he's starting to get to that age where he likes a little bit more of this thing, so I really think he's going to enjoy this one. Following on from that, there weren't again many rides for the boys to go on in terms of rides that they would enjoy. I really was contemplating the Cali River Rapids, however when we're meant to be out there they may have just opened, although they may still be shut, so we're going to have to assess that when we're out there. We may be able to get additional fast passes if they have opened in time, but it says mid to late March and we leave middle of March, so I don't know whether they're going to be open in time. That was a ride I was really looking forward to and I think the boys would have loved as well. However, it's not open. So the next one that we've booked is the Kilimanjaro Safaris. Now we are staying in the Animal Kingdom, so we haven't spent too much time here, but I think they're going to love the Kilimanjaro Safari. You ride off in an open air vehicle for a day or evening tour of a lush African savanna, home to real life exotic animals, and it just takes you around the park. Now, me and Adam have both been on safari before in South Africa and loved it, and I guess this is just kind of a way of kind of a little snippet of that, maybe to see how the boys react to it. They're both animal people, so I think they're really going to enjoy doing that. And again, this is another way to kind of experience a lot of the park, some of the animals, and not have to do too much at the same time, and maybe have a little bit of a break to conserve our energy. And I'm not gonna lie, this last ride that I have picked up on our fast passes is mainly for me and Adam. I don't think the boys are going to be that interested in it, and to be honest with you, I'm not even a big fan of Avatar. So yes, you've guessed it, if you know Disney, it's the Avatar Flight of Passage ride. It is meant to be amazing, and I'm really excited to go on this ride. I think it'll be a really good experience. And again, Klayton should hopefully just be able to go on it. I believe he's just tall enough, so he'll get to experience it with us. It says you fly on the back of a mountain banshee during an exhilarating 3D ride above the vast moon, only at Pandora, the world avatar. So I think this is going to be really exciting for Klayton, and he's going to get to experience that. And the way that we've basically decided to do it is that on any rides that Klayton can go on that Parker can't go on, there's actually something that exists in the park called a rider swap. So basically what that means is whilst my in-laws are waiting with Parker, or whilst we're waiting with Parker, my in-laws can go on with Klayton, and then Klayton will get to go on again, but then with me and Adam. And then once we've done that first swap over and we've swapped over on the riders, we can then go and take Parker off to do something else in between, which I think is a really nice way of doing it, so everyone kind of gets to experience a little bit of something different, and then get to do the same things at the same time. And I also want to mention that Avatar Flight of Passage was a tier 1 ride, which meant we could only book that as our tier 1, but there wasn't any other rides for the boys to go on in the top tier anyways, which is why we've done the dinosaur and the Kilimanjaro safaris. And not only that, but I also want to say how Magical Kingdom is the only park that doesn't have tiers. So you can book whichever rides you want in Magical Kingdom for your free fast passes for the day. However, in all the others, Epcot, Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, they have tiered rides where you can pick 1 tier 1 and 2 tier 2s, and then once you've used those, you can then try and get extra fast passes to do as you wish. Okay, so the next day we're in Epcot, and this has a lot of different themes of countries around the world and stuff like that. The first ride that I'm going to book, again, it was tiered, is Frozen Ever After. Now this ride is obviously Frozen based, and I've already said how much the boys love Frozen, so this was a no-brainer for me to book this one. Guests of any height can go on this ride. It says it's a slow ride with small drops and can be quite dark. And it says hoist the sails in Arendelle aboard an ancient Norwegian vessel as you set out into the wondrous wintry world of Frozen. And again, I think the boys are really going to enjoy this. This is a really nice ride for them to go on, and I think they'll really enjoy it. Following on from that, we then have, I believe, just a couple of shows after this. Again, there's not too much for them to do in Epcot itself. It's mainly experiencing all the different cultures and all the different things as you travel around Epcot. It has loads of different countries and stuff like that. However, another thing that we did book was The Seas with Nemo and Friends. Now, this is, again, a slow ride. You go under the sea without getting wet on this attraction-based Disney Pixar Finding Nemo, which finds the Nemo lost again. It's a slow ride, and again, any children of any height can go on this ride, which means it's a perfect one for Parker to go on too. And then the last thing that we booked for that day, and again, this is very much for Klayton and not for Parker, is something called Space. Now, Space, it says that it's a thrill ride, it's spinning and it's dark. It says you blast off on a thrilling, simulated NASA-style mission to Mars or orbit the Earth on a more gentle ride through space. So there's different things going on in there. I don't really know too much about it, but I had to pick another fast pass, and I figured that if we used our fast passes up and we wanted to go back onto Frozen Ever After, we could once they were all booked. So again, that's another ride for us to go on, mainly for Klayton, but we can just wander around with Parker. I'm sure if I ply Parker with food, he's really not going to be that bothered. So the next day we are back in Hollywood Studios, and this was my top ride. I tried to book it for our first full day at Hollywood Studios, but it had already gone to a lot later in the day. So we did it on our second time in Hollywood Studios, and it's Slinky Dog Dash. We may be able to get fast passes for this, but oh my gosh, I think I'm more excited for this than the kids, to be quite honest with yourself. Again, it's this Toy Story based ride. Obviously, they've got Toy Story Land out there now, which the boys are going to love. We've got this from 10 o'clock. It's a thrill ride with small drops. Now, I'm hoping, again, Parker grows a little bit more. It's 97 centimetres or 38 inches. It says, take off on a family-friendly roller coaster as Slinky Dog's coil twists around curves, hills and drops only at Toy Story Land. So obviously we just have to wait and see if he's tall enough when we're out there to go on this ride. But again, I think it's going to be another fun one for us to go on, and I know that Klayton is going to love this. Then I didn't actually have too many other options to do in Hollywood Studios because the tier 1 rides were the main things that we wanted to do. So we've also booked the Disney Junior Dance Party. Both of the boys love dancing and singing, and so I figured again this was a really nice like time out thing for us to do that would be a little bit more slow paced to experience the park if we haven't experienced enough of it already. And then we also booked Beauty and Beast live on stage, which again I know the boys will absolutely love if they get to go and watch that. We may or may not do it, we may just let that fast pass run through, so obviously we can go and get another fast pass. But yeah, they're all booked and there are things there that we can do if we so choose to. If not, we may choose to go back to our hotel room and lounge around the pool or go to a water park, but it's there and it's booked. And then on the next day we are back at Magical Kingdom, and the next one we've got is the Barnstormer. Now this one has small drops. Again, Klayton and Parker are both tall enough, so this one does have height restrictions on it. It's 89 centimeters, so Parker is already tall enough for this ride. And it says, take flight above a storybook circus with Goofy and his homemade stunt aeroplanes for a thrilling junior roller coaster ride. And again, you're on this like little Barnstormer train type thing, which I think both of the boys are really gonna love. The next one that I booked was It's a Small World. I didn't actually think I'd book this, but maybe because I had more fast passes to use, I just booked it anyway. But I'm sure you guys know what It's a Small World is. I remember when I was younger dancing to It's a Small World and absolutely loving it. But you basically go around, you get to experience loads of different themes around the world, and generally you're in like a little boat type thing upon water. We went in Disneyland Paris and we went on it a couple of times, and Klayton absolutely loved it, and I'm sure Parker will. Now he's a lot older as well. And the last ride that we booked for that day was Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin. Now this one, again, you can be any height. It's meant to be like a spinning type one, but you can fire stuff. There's lots going on, and again, I just think the boys are really going to enjoy it. Hopefully it won't be too intense with the spinning, but I think the boys are really going to enjoy that as well. And then that brings us to our very last day, which we are spending back in Magical Kingdom for our very last day as well. Now we don't leave until the afternoon, around 2-3 o'clock, and I thought it'd be a really nice way to spend our last day to do one actual meet and greet. So we're going to do a meet and greet with Mickey at the Town Square Theatre. This will all be pre-booked, so we haven't got to wait in no long queues for the meet and greet, and I figured it'd be really nice to get like a big family picture at the end of our trip on the last day, when hopefully we're a little bit tanned, not too tired, nicely presented in the morning before any of the rides. I just thought that'd be a really nice way to end the trip. We've then got Tomorrowland Speedway, which again, this was aimed more towards Klayton. Parker is tall enough though, and you get to ride on a like go-kart type thing around a track, which I think both the boys are gonna love. Parker in particular is car obsessed, so I think he's gonna love that. And then the last one that we have again is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and then that is it. That is us all fast passed out. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing our selections for the fast passes. Again, I put a lot of thought into this. Fast passes open up 60 days prior to traveling, so that is why we're booking them now, and they were booked yesterday. I was really stressing out. I also want to add a little tip that when you go onto the app and you've added everyone in, you'll see everyone's tickets in place. When you go through and click to the fast pass, it will look as though they're not linked. At 12 PM in the UK, which is the current time, obviously make sure you check this when you're booking, because our clocks change, so obviously the time differences can vary, and I'm not quite sure if it stays 12 PM when the clocks change, so obviously check that at your time of booking your fast passes. But at 12 PM this all magically opens and you can just book everything. Also, for a child under 3, even though they're booked onto your room, they don't actually have a park ticket, which therefore means that even though they'll come up in your list, it will probably ask you to deselect them and say they don't have a ticket. I did phone up and double check with Disney, this is correct, and obviously you don't need to select them because they can just come on with you on the rides and they don't need to have a ticket, therefore they don't need to book their space on that ride. Well guys, I hope this has given you everything you need. If you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new for more Disney content, as well as all the other stuff I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and I will see you all again very shortly. Bye guys.